Hey, what's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be talking about the concept of sin and how it is an imaginary disease used to guilt trip you into thinking you need an imaginary cure. Now, in Christianity, you hear a lot of talk about the term what is called original sin, and this stems from the first chapter in the Bible called Genesis, where there's if you believe this story now, there's a original man and woman called Adam and Eve. Adam came from dust and Eve came from Adam's rib. I know evolution's crazy, right? And in this story, everything was going all good. They're living in the Garden of Eden, where there was a whole bunch of vegetables and fruits all over the place, and they walked around butt naked. They didn't even know what they were doing because they didn't have any knowledge in their heads. It's like the one guy off of the Wizard of Oz, which the one that doesn't have a brain. Isn't that the Scarecrow guy? But anywho, so then Adam and Eve, they was just walking around, dick swinging in the breeze and walking around butterball naked. And then all of a sudden, out pops a talking snake, because things like that were just common back then. Snakes used to talk, bushes used to talk, and people used to part the seas with their hands. But stuff like that just doesn't happen now. But back in those days, it definitely happened, I guess. But so they were talking to this snake, as if it was like an actual person, and the snake said, hey guys, why don't you? I triple dog dare you to go eat from the tree of knowledge. And since Adam and Eve didn't have a brain because they were like the Scarecrow, they said, oh, okay, and then they went to go to the tree of knowledge and eat from the tree. And that tree and the tree of life were the two trees that God told them not to eat from, and they did it anyway. So God found out about this. He was pissed, and he kicked them out the Garden of Eden. He said that because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl in your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. And I'll put enmity between you and the women, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and he will strike your heel. And then what proceeded after they left was a large, massive amounts of incest and inbreeding. And then we have about 7 billion people today, 6,000 years later. Even though exponentially speaking, that's not possible. But hey, God can work his magic. He works in mysterious ways. So about halfway through this book of fabricated fairy tales, you run into a guy named Jesus. Now, who is Jesus, one might ask? He's the Son of God, but he's really his own father. But he even has another split, bipolar personality, and he's God the Spirit as well. So he has multiple personalities, depending on what time of day you're talking to him. And he pretty much goes around, or God the Son goes around the Middle East, and that's Jesus. He goes around and he's spreading his hippie philosophy. He goes to parties, and people run out of alcohol because even though you say bring your own beer, people still show up without no beer. And he pretty much turns all the water into wine. So he's a pretty cool cat. He goes around, he feeds all the hungry people. He turns he feeds 6,000 people with a couple breadsticks and some fried fish sticks that he got a giant eagle or whatever. And so he does all this, and then the Romans find out about him, and then they kill him. They crucify him, which is pretty much putting pins on your hands and putting you on a cross. And this was the way that the Romans back in those days executed people. So in Christianity, they teach you that this guy, he died for your sins, because original sin, or the sin of Adam and Eve, forsaken all their offsprings or their descendants. And when Jesus came around, he pretty much washed all that away. And one of the ways that Christianity guilt trip you into following Christianity and giving them shit tons of your money is that they make you think that you have some sort of imaginary disease, which you really don't. The stuff that is sin is basically things that humans do because it's human nature, like like lying, or like telling a white lie, or having sex before marriage, or it's just mundane stuff that is, and the reason we do it is based off human nature. And one of the ways that they try to guilt trip you into accepting Jesus into your heart is by saying that you're a very immoral person because you're sinful based off what your great supposed ancestors did. And they try to tell you that, oh, the only way that you can be completely moral is if you accept Jesus into your heart. And if you don't do that, then you burn in hell for eternity. You face the worst kind of torture imaginable. Now, let me give you two different scenarios. Let's say you're a person who lives their life being humble. They help people. They volunteer. They're selfless. They always think of others before they think of themselves. And they're always the first to lend a helping hand. And they live their life trying to be as helpful and helping other people as possible. If they don't accept Jesus into their heart, even after doing all that stuff all throughout their life, then they still burn in hell for eternity, and they're tortured, the worst kind of torture you can imagine. I was told this stuff when I was in middle school, and they would try to scare us, and I actually went to a hell house before. But then let's say on the flip side, you have someone, the likes of, like, I don't know, Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, and you used to kill people, and you'd have fingers in your refrigerator. But then let's say on your deathbed you say, I accept Jesus into my heart and I'm a true follower of Christianity. Then that person gets to go to heaven. That person gets to be rewarded for accepting Jesus into their heart. Now, based off that alone, it shows you that Christianity is not about spreading morality to the masses. Because if it was, then people who are non-Christians would be able to go to heaven, or supposedly be able to go to heaven, but that's not the case. The case is, you get to go to heaven as long as you accept this person into your heart. And it doesn't matter how you lived your life, how much of an immoral person you might have been during your life. If you accept Jesus into your heart, it doesn't matter. You're going to heaven. And this God, in what they tell us, that he is all loving. And if he was really all loving, wouldn't he see that, okay, there's the people who are atheists and the people who are non-religious, they're non-religious or they're atheists for a reason, because there's not enough proof or evidence that that he exists. And he would see that, and he would be happy with us because we're able to, or he gave us the ability to think for ourselves. And he should be proud that his creation is able to do that. But no, instead, if you don't accept him completely and unabashedly, you don't become part of the flock of Christians, then no, you're going to hell. Now let's get back to the original sin component of the Bible. Let's take that kind of logic and apply it to modern times. Let's say you're German and you're my age, you're 21, and your great-grandfather and your grandfather they might have been involved in the Holocaust. They might have been concentration camp guards. They might have been part of the SS, and they killed thousands of people. But then later they found out that they committed those crimes and they were punished for it. But by that same logic in the Bible, you would be responsible for what your grandfather did. Or here's even another case. Let's say you're white and you live in the South, and your ancestors might have owned slaves. Are you now responsible for what your ancestors did? In the 1860s and prior. Do you really hold that burden? No, you don't. So to say that we somehow suffer from this, or we somehow hold the burden of what our supposed ancestors did, it's absurd. It's that simple. It's just absurd to think like that. And here's even another story. Just yesterday, I was watching a YouTube channel by the name of Secular Talk TV. He's probably one of my favorite YouTube channels, and he was talking about Pat Robertson. And Pat Robertson had a guest on his show, and it was an 80-year-old woman. And, she was like, I'm broke. I don't have no money. I'm 80 years old. I don't know what to do. I've been giving 10% of my income to, you or the church for a very long time, and I still haven't really received any kind of blessing. What should I do? And this bastard Pat Robertson, he's such a fucking slime ball. He said that you should have a garage sale or something. You keep donating, keep doing this and that. But yeah, you should find ways. There's plenty of ways to make money. You can sell stuff on eBay or something, and God he'll come up with a way for you to pay your bills or something. And this guy, he used to own diamond mines in Africa. He is a war criminal. But that's besides the point. When it comes to sin, at the end of the day, if someone tells you that you're immoral or there's something wrong with you based off your basic human nature, your own human tendencies, then just say that, you know what you're saying to me is complete BS. It's made up. What you're trying to do is you're trying to scare me. You're trying to guilt trip me into thinking there's something wrong with me when it's really not. And I feel bad for people who live their whole entire lives constantly trying to please God or their church, and they're constantly trying to live this life where they have to do things that are just it's almost unnatural. I hate to use that term, unnatural, because that's what Christians love to use against people they don't like. But it's unnatural to say that, oh, well, we should just cut off or we should just not have sex until we're married, and we shouldn't have any kind of sexual feelings until we're married, and it's just stuff like that. It goes against our nature. But you know what, though, at the end of the day, the only thing you need to know or follow when it comes to morality is treat people the way you want to be treated. That's it. If everyone had a sense of empathy, the world would be a lot better place. If instead of human beings slicing and dicing each other into different groups and religions, and oh, I'm from this country, he's from that country or that ethnic group, or that then I'm of that race or he's of that race, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And I think if us as as human beings in general just came together and worked on our problems and didn't worry about frivolous shit and like stuff that makes us want to be divisive, the world would be such a better place, and there'll be so much less messed up stuff going on today. But that's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, and have a nice day.